Hello, and welcome again to Conversation with a Father, the place where we build strong minds, strong families, and strong communities, one honest conversation at a time. I'm Keith, and in this episode, I'm just going to tell you how it all got started. Conversation with a Father. It was June 16th, 2009. That was the day I became a father by the title form. By standards of everyone else, we celebrated my baby girl being born on that day. And so, I was a dad. But today's purpose is to understand this podcast, which is Conversation with a Father. So, I'm going to kind of walk you through my understanding of father and my journey that got me to that understanding in hopes that there's some value there. All right. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I appreciate your time and your attention as we talk about this episode, this podcast, and how it's gonna go, which is Conversation with a Father. Yep. So let's just look at the name, because that kind of explains most of it. Conversation is a pretty is a word that I think we all kind of understand together. A smart person said, we generally share the same vocabulary, but rarely the same dictionary. And all that means is that we say the same words, but be meaning different stuff. But I think with conversation, I think we all on the same page. But if we're not, let me establish. I wouldn't say establish. That sounds a little authoritative. Maybe. But let's establish a working definition for conversation. And so when I use the word conversation in building this podcast, what I meant when I use the word conversation is simply just conveying ideas with the intent of someone benefiting. Yeah, essentially you just sharing ideas with somebody, and somebody's going to get a benefit out of their idea shared. It might be me, it might be you, it might be people we don't even know. We just solving problems or something for somebody else. But that's the basics. Like, it's not an argument or a debate or anything else. It's like, hey, when I'm conversing with a human, it's to share my best ideas with them and then see what they want to share back with me. And so that's what I mean when I say conversation. Now, the father part, that becomes a little more tricky to unpack. But guess what? I got the time to unpack it, and let's see if you agree. You might not, but it's all love either way. I'm cool with it. So when I look at the word father, I think the basic understanding of it is pretty well and good. Like, if I look it up in Webster, that's the standard Webster. If I look it up in Webster, it says a male parent. And I think we all can agree on that. I think that's pretty universal agreement that a father is a male parent. But I don't think we all have the same definition or the same experiences or ideas when we say father. So even though our basic understanding might share the same line of logic, what comes after that is to each their own, right? So I'm going to break it down kind of how I see it so that we can all be on the same page when I'm using this, or when you're tuning into Conversation with a Father, you won't misinterpret what that means. I don't want anybody thinking like, oh, this dude think he's everybody daddy. Like, nah. Or I'm like supreme dad law. Nope. I'm just trying my best. For real. And I got some other ideas on how we can build great things just from a different perspective. That's really it. And so I want to be clear from the front end. And so when I look at the word father, from my perspective, I look at what Webster said as a male parent. And I take that word male, and the word male ties into something that I learned in my adult life. It wasn't taught to me as a child or even really expressed in many of my circles, but it's a book called The Kabbalion. And in this book, it gives 7 basic principles or laws in which things are governed. And one of those laws is the law of gender. And it says, in all things, there is a male and a female. And so I think about what that information described a male to be and what the information described a female to be. And I see that those ideas play true to, the basic idea of the male parent. And so in the Kabbalion, it talks about the male. Now, the Kabbalion is a very heavy book, I guess, intense wise. Like, you gotta it's almost like study it a little bit. It's not really a casual read. But in the basis of it, if I'm getting down to the bare bones of it, it reflects on the male component of life as the structure and the female component of life as the energy within the structure. And in that basic idea of the word male described as structure makes the word father make a little more sense to me. Because when I think about another instance of the word father appearing in my childhood before I've ever had kids, or my daughter was even a conception of thought, I would hear the word father used a lot in the Christian churches that I would attend to. In reference to God, they would use the word father. And so it makes sense if father means structure, because in most religions, I don't study all of them or declare myself any of them. But in all the information I received, it is looking for a spiritual structure to send your earthly energy through, because you want it to be divinely orchestrated at the basics. You want your ideas to be, your energy expressed to be structured in a higher form of divinity. And so father being the word father being closely related to the word structure still held itself true even when I looked in different aspects of my life. And then the opposite tends to show itself as well. You can look at communities and the situations around people in today's society that don't have that father figure. As a teacher, you see it expressed in children pretty often, that they call it a behavior issue. Like they come up with a lot of different terms and analogies for behaviors that show up. But it boils down to the child doesn't have a structure for their emotions to express. And generally, we get that structure. That structure is built with children through discipline, like consistent discipline. You learn to maintain and control those emotions. And so you can see how the removal of that father figure structure might produce a kid with undisciplined energy being expressed, being called behaviors. And so it makes sense, like everywhere, to look at the word and father as structure. And so that's what I mean when I created the title of this podcast. The father part is we're looking at the structures that are around us that we can utilize information from to build with. That's pretty much it. That's conversation with a father. Conveying messages, conveying ideas to build beneficial structures. And I think that's something a lot of people can get behind, for the simple fact that these structures that we build can affect communities in a way that we're not seeing our communities affected. And that's the overall goal, to find ways to affect the communities that aren't being affected. But we just scratching the surface. I just wanted to discuss what this is and what it's going to be. But the foundation for conversation with a father is pretty much set. It's a space, it's a place for building through conversation. So if in the house of solutions, all questions are uncovered, keep searching.